Okay, if you like this video, subscribe to my channel, follow me on social media, but let's get right to it. So, the new episode of The Mandalorian dropped. Spoilers! Right off the bat, guys, I'm just going to talk about some stuff. The episode was called The Jedi. So, and I guess that was in reference, it feels like it was in reference to Rosario Dawson, who's playing Ahsoka Tano. First and foremost, Grogu. The child, aka Baby Yoda, now has a name, Grogu. I love it. I think it's great. I loved that when the Mandalorian learned of the name and he said it several times, Grogu kept looking at him every time he said his name. So I think that was great. First of all, Michael Biehn. Absolutely love Michael Biehn. I've loved every film he's ever been in, whether it be Aliens, whether it be Terminator, whether it be The Rock. You name, anytime Michael Biehn shows up in anything, I'm really, really excited. When he was originally cast in The Mandalorian, I didn't know where he would fall in there. But I have to say, I'm happy he's part of the Star Wars universe. I'm extremely disappointed he only had one episode and was killed at the end of the episode. Yeah, it was great. It was that classic Western, standoff, draw type situation. But I felt his character had absolutely no time to develop at all throughout the episode. And I feel like he was underused. Michael Biehn is a fantastic actor. He's a method actor. Just absolutely, I feel like he was wasted. Dave Filoni, once again, did a fantastic job directing this episode. This episode felt like an extension of the Clone Wars. It feels like it's coming from the mind of Dave Filoni. And that's pretty accurate throughout the whole episode. Once again, we learned Grogu is the name of the child, and that he had been trained by many masters over many years on Coruscant at the Jedi Temple. And then for some reason, everything gets a little cloudy in the Grogu's memory about what happened. And they talk about how fear, which, leads to the dark side, fear and anger. Fear is what's clouding him looking forward to kind of explain. Ahsoka Tano, Rosario Dawson, obviously she kicked so much butt in this episode. Perfect casting, absolutely perfect casting. Her makeup looked amazing. Her costumes looked amazing. The original opening of the episode with her running through the outskirts of this town that's covered by a border wall, just annihilating these, really poorly trained guys, and using the same techniques and stuff that she did in the Clone Wars, and how she moved around, used the lightsabers. And one thing I have to say is, the more and more the Mandalorian as a whole, season 1 and going into this season, although they just keep calling them chapters going forward, it's not like episode 4 of, season 2. It's just, they just keep going forward like a book. Although, this is fresh and new stuff, it just feels really grounded in the universe that we know. We had that one droid that was in Return of the Jedi that was branding the Gonk droid in Jabba's palace. He makes kind of an appearance, or one of those robots, which is great because, they do these subtle nods, and they explore these characters that weren't really explored much in the, kind of like Earl Brown doing the Weequay, which appeared in Return of the Jedi but didn't really do much. Giving depth to characters that we've already seen before but were never really explored. So I dig that that's what they do with the characters. So in a sense, it gives us fan service but gives us backstories to a lot of these characters. Osaka Tana fighting, fantastic. Lightsabers. I really enjoyed, Moff Gideon with the dark saber. I'm loving where this is going. Um, and lightsabers make Star Wars. I'm sorry. And I hate the term laser swords. It just bothers the shit out of me every time I hear a character talk about a laser sword. And that really kind of popped off in, the Phantom Menace, with the, young Anakin saying, "Are those laser swords? Only Jedis carry that," that kind of thing. But I know that like Lucas had referred to them as laser swords and things like that over the years, but never really in the big movies. It was always the lightsaber, which is an elegant weapon, of a Jedi Knight, and I just feel like when you call it a laser sword, it just, I don't know, lessens the elegance of what that weapon represented. I thought when Osaka Tana had the fight, with the woman yielding the spear, the staff, made of the Bespar, whatever, the Mandalorian metal, when she asked, who, I want to know, tell me where your leader is, blah, 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 blah. And then she finally says, I thought she was going to say Moff Gideon. And I think a lot of people probably thought that, because, we were left with that little cliffhanger at the end where, you would think she's trying to find the guy with the dark saber, or whatever the case may be. But then when she said Grand Admiral Thrawn, that just, I feel like what we're going to see is the spinoff, obviously, I don't believe we're going to get much Thrawn in this going forward. I could be wrong. I really thought Osaka Tana was going to be a glorified cameo, maybe at the end of the episode, like they would reveal her. I had no idea the extent of the use that she was going to be in the episode. As far as the lightsaber battles, battling all those guys, and then the fight, with the leader of the planet, whatever her name. I loved her character. I thought it was great. And I don't really know if it was revealed that she was killed after she spilled the beans, maybe on where Grand Admiral Thrawn is. And that's, again, it's like they're expanding the story, which is great, but they're just still, plugging holes in many respects. And I call it plugging holes, but I guess it's going to get to a point where they're going to go off on their own and just really have, other adventures. It's obvious by the time the First Order rolls around, the Jedi Temple was destroyed by Kylo, when he flipped, the rise of the First Order. I guess at some point we may see that. But if Grand Admiral Thrawn is off with a fleet of Star Destroyers in some sector of out in the Outer Rim doing his thing, why didn't any of that, play into the events of the rise of Skywalker with the fleet of Sith Star Destroyers and all? It's like, there's just so much going on. It's just going to keep the wheels turning. And I really, if they are going to spin off a series with Ahsoka Tano, I think that's going to be great. I feel like it'll wind up feeling very much like the Clone Wars, just basically a live action version of the Clone Wars, although the Clone Wars are over. And if she's going to go on a pursuit, because she says, I can't train Grogu, there's fear in him. She knows what happens when there's fear. She knows all about Anakin. She knows what happened, blah, 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 blah. And, at least with going to the Jedi ruins on a temple in this planet that she's sending the Mandalorian to take Grogu to, Grogu. I'm getting used to saying that. I want to say Groot. I am Groot. But anyway, Grogu. So I mean, I think we're going to get Luke Skywalker. I mean, because if they go to this place, where else would we find? And if this is 5 years after Return of the Jedi, obviously he's not going to look like he did in The Force Awakens. He won't be the older version. Are they going to get Sebastian Stan to take up the helm as Luke Skywalker? And once you introduce Luke Skywalker into the series, it just pulls all the oxygen out of the Mandalorian. So they have to do it very carefully, because if they do it in a way that takes away from the Mandalorian itself, that's why it's like when they originally said the Mandalorian was going to be potentially 3 seasons with 8 episodes apiece, 24 episodes, it would be a limited series, and that's fine. But you gotta give the Mandalorian his due. You keep bringing in all these, characters that are huge. You gotta make sure that you don't overshadow, the Mandalorian in general. And that's I know they're doing a great job. So although in the back of my mind I'm thinking this, I know Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau, I know they understand this, and they're gonna do it right. So my only complaint, would be the underuse of Michael Biehn. Just an absolute talented actor. I loved everything about this episode. I think it's really starting to push the story forward. One of the things that drives me a little nutty about every single episode is like, you have to take the child here, but before you do that, you got to help me out. It's this concept. It feels like a video game, where you have to constantly go to one place to get this gem, and then go to this planet to get this thing and fight this person before you can figure out and it still kind of has that feel to it without it, except this time, the offer came from the Mandalorian himself to not fulfill the request to kill the Jedi, but to align with the Jedi. And so, I get that this is the world we live in, where, a lot of these things are like video games. Like there's so many people that are playing video games, whether it be Battlefront or Squadron, whatever. And but there's these levels, you got to power up, you got to do this. And that's kind of how it was in the beginning with the Mandalorian, because he was upgrading his armor, kind of like, a first person shooter. You get health, and then you can upgrade your gear. And it was this kind of the same thing. And that can be a little, for me personally, it's like, okay, I've got enough of the video game stuff. Like if you're setting up a video game that's going to come out later on, I get it, but give me more story. But I guess, what else is the Mandalorian going to do every episode, but to go on some sort of mission, and then we get a little more piece of the puzzle with Grogu and his journey. And their journey. But anyway, I really love this episode. I think they did a fantastic job, and I can't wait for the next one. I hope everyone had a happy and safe Thanksgiving, and we will see you on the next one.